welcome Chase Buckner from GoHighlevel. Today, he is going to be sharing with us all of the details that I'm sure a lot of you are dying to know about SaaS Mode and GoHighlevel. And for those of you who may have zero idea what SaaS Mode even is, this is going to be a great training for you as well. So welcome, Chase. Thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super pumped to be here to chat with you guys.
Yeah, so if you guys are not familiar with Highlevel, then I highly encourage you to check it out. This will be a great way to kind of get introduced to it. As most of you know, I talk about this platform a lot. It has been something I have loved using and encourage virtually everyone to use as well. Whether you are a local business or a marketer or agency, there are applications for both types of businesses in a variety of different ways, but this is something incredibly customizable that can fit each and every one of you. So Chase, why don't you give the users a little bit of background on SaaS Mode, and then we can go ahead and dive into this training.
For sure. So like Allie said, if you're new to Highlevel, we are kind of today jumping all the way to sort of the most advanced sort of evolution of high levelers, I would say. The talk that we're going to go through today is actually the last module in a whole series of webinars that we're giving called the Lead Gen Playbook. And so hopefully, Allie, we can come back and do some of these other pieces, but we're jumping all the way down here today to SaaS Mode, which is a really exciting one because Highlevel, if you don't know who we are, we're the all-in-one sales and marketing platform for agencies, and Highlevel's white label. So, from day one, we wanted you to brand the platform with your logo, your branding, et cetera, and then go sell it as your own software. And so we'll get into that in a second. SaaS Mode is like the evolution of that. So we might as well just jump into the presentation here because it'll walk us right through.
Yeah, and before we get started, I do want to mention, some thoughts that I have for those that are not agencies. So we are actually in, a time period where I feel that it's more important than ever for small businesses and local businesses to be really creative about how they are selling and what they are selling. And I have a new client that we're getting set up on Highlevel right now, and he has a service-based business. It's very large, but he also has a Facebook group of a ton of service-based business owners. And because he's found so much success, he's been able to work with these different business owners to implement some of the same strategies. He's going to be able to take this platform and also use it to serve other business owners like him in his industry, even though he is not what you would call a typical agency owner. He is a business owner who's found success and is now helping other people in his industry. And this is a tool that he's going to be able to use to do that. So if you are not the agency in this group and you are that small business owner or that local business owner, don't discount this training as something that is only applicable to professional marketers or agency owners. This is something you should really listen to and try and get your wheels turning about how could you implement something like this within your business. If there is any B2B capabilities or opportunities that you have, this is something that you can likely use. So just keep an open mind as you go through this, because I do not think that this is something that cannot apply to almost every type of business in some way. So with that being said, Chase, I'll let you take it away.
Good point. So either way, whether you're a marketer or a business owner, talk to Allie if you like what you see here and you want to get involved. There's a free trial. Allie's got a bunch of stuff for you, I'm sure. But if you're a business owner, you could use Highlevel through Allie's account. Or if you're an agency owner or a marketer, you could get your own Highlevel account through Allie. And so either way, connect with her if you like what we're about to talk about. So let's talk about SaaS Mode. First of all, what is SaaS? We throw this acronym around all the time, but a lot of people are not familiar with it. It stands for Software as a Service, which has become the holy grail of business models, right? Because it's a subscription. And we've seen this around the world, right? Netflix kind of brought this to the forefront. And then everybody has gone in this direction since, right? Think of all the pluses out there, Apple Plus, Disney Plus, all these types of things. The goal is to get people on subscriptions so that they're paying automatically every month. And it's, we're not in the world of chasing people down for invoices anymore. So software as a service is the traditional acronym. a lot of people in our community that go into SaaS mode kind of tweak it, maybe like software with a service or a system as a service, but technically SaaS means software as a service. So what does SaaS have to do with agencies, right? Typically agencies focus on providing services like SEO, Facebook ads, Google ads, reputation management, things like that. Well, here's what we know. Every small business needs software to succeed in this day and age, but hardly any businesses know which software they need. There's thousands of them out in the market, and hardly any businesses know how to set up or configure the software that they do need. So businesses typically rely on agencies for their software needs, which is smart, right? We as agencies, we as marketers, we know what software that they need and we know how to set it up. The problem is that agencies often get the raw end of this deal, right? And, let us know in the chat if you can relate to this, but in the days before Highlevel, to run marketing campaigns, we typically needed a bunch of things, right? We'd be running ads to a landing page. So I need you to have a landing page builder, right? Let's go get you a Clickfunnels account. We need a form on that page. We need a CRM to push the people who fill out the form into. So maybe we're now talking about an active campaign account or something like that. Well, we need to connect the two. So we're talking about Zapier, and we're going to want to do call tracking. So maybe you've got a CallRail account. So you got to get all this software tied together for your client. And the client's just saying, sure, whatever. You tell me, we don't know what's going on. We just want the result. And we're going to talk about this in a second. What would typically happen is somewhere down the line, you lose the client, right? But the client keeps paying for a lot of the software that you set up. And because it's the holy grail, right? They continue to pay for months or years because that's what SaaS is. It's really sticky software that somebody is finding value from. It's typically much lower cost than your services. And so they continue to pay it, even though you were the one that introduced it. You were the one that set it up. You were the one that, made it work for them. So the problem runs even deeper than that. In 2020, we did an internal study of all the agencies that we had worked with, which was tens of thousands of agencies at that point. And what we discovered that the average agency's churn rate is over 60%, which was kind of shocking. But if you've ever run an agency, you probably relate to it, right? It's kind of like a roller coaster. You have a really good month, but the next month you lose 3 of the people that came on board, or, and it's kind of like this cycle that's hard to get out of. It's really hard to scale, forecast when you're dealing with churn like that. The average agency churns their customers every 1 to 3 months, and the average agency can't maintain more than a handful of clients at a time. So, most agencies are still at that early stage of trying to break through that 10K a month barrier, right? So if you're new to this, you're probably in that stage, you can probably relate to what we're talking about.
So there is something I'd love to throw in with this as well.
Sure.
I've seen similar numbers in the different, training programs, mentorships, coaching programs that I've been in with other agency owners. And I will say that I think that Highlevel overall should change that, right out of the gate, because a lot of times marketers weren't even setting up some of those more complex, but really necessary systems. And because of that, their clients weren't able to get the results. But I would also say, this is a really great reason to have a very deep knowledge of, the traffic sources and the paid ad platforms that you're using to help your clients, because, this is significantly different than everything we ever saw internally, like with my own agency. And it's because when the results are there, you're not going to get as much churn as you would if you're kind of just floundering around and hoping that you can find something that actually sticks. So I would say that even if you don't dive right into SaaS mode, using this software alone can change some of those numbers for you, but also it's a great reason to really dive deep into something like Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, whatever your ad platform of choice is, and make sure that you truly know how to get results for the clients that you're serving. And then whatever we're talking about today is really going to be multiplied significantly if you can do that.
Absolutely. And these 2 webinars really go through what Allie's talking about, which is, hey, we need to automate the leads of booking nurture. We need to automate things around appointments to make sure that people show up. These types of things will definitely decrease your churn. But SaaS mode and white labeling software in general fixes this, right? software industry alone has the lowest churn rate of any industry, right? Like we just said, okay, agencies churn at above 60% on average. Software churns about 5% on average. So it's a drastic difference there. So Highlevel's been white label from the beginning, right? And when we looked and we said, okay, wow, this is shocking, but we have all these other agencies using the platform that are killing it. What is the difference here? And the ones that were crushing it were the ones that were leveraging the white label. But they were a small percentage of our customer base. And so we had to figure out why. Why aren't more of our customers running with the white label, right? They were using the tool, which is great, but they weren't taking it as far as like really leveraging the white label. And so what we realized was it just wasn't easy enough to do for reals. And what I mean by that was only really the tech advanced agency customers that we had were running with it, because most of the stuff you had to do through an API, right? And if you don't even know what I mean by that, well, then there you go. You're like most of us. You're not a developer. And so if you weren't API savvy to really run with the white label, you had to manually create sub accounts for each new client, manually create users for each new client that you brought on in their staff, manually create their login information and set their permissions and send their instructions on how to get going, manually monitor their billing, manually monitoring rebilling stuff like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm charging enough to cover the text message usage that's running through my Twilio account, right? So it was a very manual, tedious process. And it was kind of like, well, duh, this is why more of our customers aren't leveraging the white label. So we set out to change that. In every year, we have what we call Level Up Day in Q3 of the year, where we kind of talk about the state of the union at Highlevel and what's coming the following year and whatnot.
Which is usually a lot of things.
Yeah. It's super fun. It's kind of like Christmas for us.
Yep.
So in 2020, we announced that we were going to roll out SaaS Mode. And in January 2021, we began rolling it out. And SaaS Mode allows you to automate that stuff that we just talked about. So we literally give you a software plan builder, where you can set things like trial options. So this is literally where you can build your software plans and drag and drop the feature set of Highlevel, set the price, choose if you want to offer an annual discount. Do you want people to get a free trial? We can attach snapshots to each one, which is a whole other conversation. We can choose to give people.
Which I'm really excited about.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a good one for sure. We'll come back and do that one soon. You can give people complimentary credits to get them started off the gate. And then you can choose how you want to make money on the usage. So like, hey, every time somebody sends a text message, well, Twilio charges me this 0.00, so like a fraction of a penny, right? Well, let's say I want to make, 5x profit on that. I slide this baby up to 5x. And now every time one of my customers sends a text, I'm profiting 3 cents, or I'm charging 3 cents and profiting. Yeah, I'm charging a little more than 3 cents, but I'm profiting a little more than 3 cents as well. So these micro payments are things that software companies typically make and keep, but now we've made it easy for you to do that with things like text messages, phone call minutes, emails, etc. So this is kind of like unheard of, right? There's a lot of white label platforms out there, but none of them take it this far. Like we're literally trying to democratize software and enable you to be in the driver's seat with this stuff, including things like auto dunning, which means if your client's card fails, the system after a couple, I think it's like 14 days, will actually lock them out. So they'll go put a different credit card in, right? So things like that have just made it so much easier to really run with the white label. And so the results, including the easy button. So let's talk about this for a second. So notice in the plan builder here, the standard plan is all locked up. You can't remove these features. And let's talk about why. So the market has proven that there are a handful of automated features that every business needs. And small businesses are starting to realize that they need these things, like right out of the gate, two-way text message. If your client can't send text messages to customers and prospects, and likewise, or vice versa, that their prospects and customers can't communicate with the business via SMS, then they're behind the times, right? Yep. They need a platform that can do that. They should have a web chat widget on their site that's a gateway into those conversations. Mm-hmm. They need Google My Business Chat integrated. Missed call text back. I just saw a study, the average small business misses over 60% of their calls every day.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But when you actually look at it, it makes sense. Reputation management, text to pay, like easily collecting money, all of these things businesses need. And so solutions like Podium have entered the market, which do just these things.
Yep.
They charge $500 a month and you have to sign up for an annual contract.
Yep.
So we were like, wait a minute, Highlevel does all these things and everything else that it does. So our customers would be silly to not give these features to their customers and charge money for it. So the base plan, this is like the easy button when it comes to SaaS mode, is, hey, start with this, right? And what does that look like? You do everything you do normally. You get excited, a prospect excited about your SEO, your ads services, whatever it is. And then at the end of the conversation, you're like, okay, great. This whole thing is powered by our software, which does a bunch of other cool stuff. So first, let's get you signed up for our software, right? Go to our pricing page, hit the button that you want it, put in your credit card. You'll be signed up. It'll send you your logins and all that. Then I'm going to activate that ads package that you want. And it's really as simple as that, because then you're running 2 subscriptions for them, one for the software and one for your services. So if that day comes and they're like, you know what, we're good with Google Ads, we don't need those anymore, you're like, cool, we'll just turn off your ad subscription, and they keep paying for the software, because these features every day are delivering leads to them. They're making sure they're nurturing leads to appointments. They're making sure that appointments are showing up. All this automated stuff that we know the market has proven businesses will pay $500 a month for, mm-hmm. is still running, and you get to choose how much you sell it for, right? So you could go sell against Podium all day long and win on price alone.
Absolutely.
But you're not going to stop there, because you're an agency that provides all sorts of great stuff, right? So the easy button is there, in addition to that kind of harder stuff that we talked about before.
And I will say, just from my experience with the clients that we work with, some of these features are the things that kind of blow them away, even with a lot of other stuff that's being set up, because this is where a lot of times they're seeing the proof in the pudding. So a funnel's only impressive if it's generating leads. Ads are only impressive if they're generating leads. But when they launch their ads and they start to see this mass influx of conversations all in one place, from Google My Business Messenger, from Facebook DM, from Instagram DM, from text message, from email, from phone call, they are just, overwhelmed in a good way, because never before have they actually seen all of the interest that was legitimately already there for their product and service so many of the times, but because it was not consolidated into one place, and maybe all the staff couldn't see it, or maybe, they are managing their own Instagram account. So every Instagram DM has to be managed by them. And then they, don't check their DMs very often because they're busy. And so many of those leads end up slipping through the cracks. Like, I would say that is one of the things that they always notice first, is how much interest they're actually able to identify very quickly. Within 24 hours, a lot of times, of turning on these ads, it is just a whole new world that they've entered into. And, some businesses may feel like, oh, those features aren't game changing, but in fact, they really are. Once you have that for the very first time. And like you mentioned, the competitors in the market, they are charging $500 for those features. And that's part of what I've been so impressed with from Highlevel. Not only your commitment to continuing to add these amazing features, like almost on a monthly basis, it feels like, to really eliminate so many platforms from your tech stack, which is in fact making technology for small businesses so much more accessible. Because I work with a lot of people that are not super tech savvy, but also we have clients that are very tech savvy, and they cannot figure out how to make this 8 program system work because it is disjointed. They can't track it. They are trying to troubleshoot all the time. And so if you take someone who is tech savvy that can actually manage that, imagine your average business owner who is not a professional marketing or tech specialist trying to actually configure or make that work. It is virtually impossible. And you guys have made it not only accessible to this audience of people who never before would have been able to even attempt these things. Sometimes, for financial reasons, they couldn't afford to pay thousands of dollars to an agency every month to set up a system like that. But you've also cut hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in cost every single month to be able to implement a system like this. So the small business owner wins because they're paying significantly less than they're going to pay for anything else that delivers even a fraction of what you're able to with this. But the marketer also wins because you are able to charge what really you're worth for configuring all of this, setting all of this up, making it something that the client can very easily get set up on. So, SaaS in some ways, I feel like people sometimes have this negative connotation with reselling a software. Maybe they think, well, I'm not an affiliate marketer. That's not what I do. Well, that's fine. That doesn't have to be what you do. I firmly believe in not promoting anything that you don't truly love or that won't be in the best interest of your clients, but this is in their best interest. And so when everybody wins, it's a great solution all around. So I just think it's completely revolutionizing the way that small businesses are able to market their companies online. And, obviously within the last 2 years, that has become more important than ever before, because if you're not able to do that, you likely have seen a significant drop in revenue or in foot traffic or in, appointments or sales calls, whatever it is that you're trying to acquire. So again, just kind of wanted to clarify like how significant some of those basic level features actually are for the businesses who are using them.
100%. And you literally took so many words out of the webinar that we give on that. We'll definitely have to do this one next soon.
For sure.
Because you nailed it. And one of the main things that I preach is that, we know as marketers that run SEO or paid ad campaigns that there's always a setup period. And clients hate that, right? It's like they just cut you like a $3,500 check or whatever. And you're like, cool, give us like 2 or 3 weeks. We'll get your first campaign ready to roll. So just sit tight. But these things you can set up day one, and you nailed it on the head. The traffic is already going to their website. It's already going to their Google profiles. The problem is people don't want to pick up the phone anymore. They want to chat. And so if you don't have the web chat widget there and you don't have two-way text and you don't have Google My Business Chat, the traffic just swims on by. So you as an agency, you just drop these nets in the water and all of a sudden you're the hero because you're letting people, you're opening up the preferred method of communication. So super important. It's definitely a webinar in itself that we'll have to do soon. But let's get back to SaaS mode. So like I said, in 2021 of January, SaaS mode started rolling out, right? So January just ended, obviously. And here we are about a year later, right? We've had almost 2,500 agencies go into SaaS mode and over $24 million in software subscriptions has been generated in that time. And this is no BS, right? This is no ClickFunnels 2 Comma Award where you report the revenue. No, these are integrated Stripe accounts that we see.
Yep.
So that's right now, it's about $3.2 million per month that's being generated in software subscriptions by high-level agencies. Check this out. Over $13 million was generated in that time in micro payments, the micro margin every time an email is sent or a text message is sent or a call is made. Insane amounts of money, right? And so this is the coolest part. So the average small business duration with an agency, we're talking about churn rate now, right? And we talked about how before it was 1 to 3 months. Mm-hmm. Non-SaaS agencies are still at like 2.5 and SaaS mode agencies are at 9 months and growing.
That's amazing.
So here it is, right? Like we put this idea out into the world that like, hey, we're pretty confident that this will work. And here we are a year later with stats to back it up. And so we're absolutely thrilled. We're doubling down. We're continuing to roll, making it easier and easier, roll out more features to help you guys turn yourselves into a hybrid agency of services that you've always done and the software that is sort of the backbone, the system that we know everybody needs underneath of your services.
And I'll also highlight, and I'm assuming that this is not included in that 9-month stat, but even if those clients no longer need the managed agency services, which sometimes no matter how great you're doing, that's going to happen. Maybe you've optimized and everything is working really well and it does not require that much management anymore. So you're kind of so great that you are kicking yourself out of the game when it comes to this long-term relationship with your clients. So you either could try and master some new skills and try and sell them on something else, which they may or may not need, and can also be extremely time consuming for you to try and, break into a totally new software or platform or type of ad. But even when that client no longer needs those ongoing services, which is, virtually inevitable, like it's going to happen, no business relationship lasts forever, they still are most likely going to want to continue using that software because they have been fully integrated into it. All of their communications are now happening here. They've kind of like seen the light at the end of the tunnel for the first time in their lives, most likely, and realized that they can have a single system that's actually working for their business, that their staff can learn, that's easy enough to actually manage on a daily basis, because things like ActiveCampaign or something like Klaviyo or Infusionsoft, it's not only extremely difficult to set those things up, but most people can't even figure out how to really manage them or teach their staff how to manage them. So they're not only not getting the benefits, they're also wasting hundreds of dollars every month having those softwares sit there. Because like you said, it's about a 5% churn, even if they're not actually taking advantage of the software. So I'm sure some agencies may not allow clients to stay on their platform if they no longer work with them. But, I would assume a lot of them are okay with that. They can continue using the system that, the agency or marketer has built for them and perfected for them, because an account's only as good as what's inside of it. All the features are there, but if you're selling accounts that have snapshots attached to them with, specific funnels, specific workflows, automations, campaigns, settings, and configurations that you've taken a lot of time to put together and test and master, that's something that they can continue to use and benefit from, even if they're not paying you on a monthly basis. So you're still reaping the benefits of that hard work that you put in up front. They're still reaping the benefits of everything that software is going to provide to them. And you now have additional revenue coming in, even when your time with that managed service for that client comes to an end.
100%. And it's like, why would anybody, hey, no, we don't want your software anymore either. You're like, oh, really? You don't want the thing that delivers you leads every day off your website, every day off Google, that sucks in all your new reviews, that automatically puts people on your calendar. I love to tell this story because I have a friend here who has a restaurant. And so I set him up on Highlevel, and the day that we turned on GMB chat, about an hour later, the first message came in. It was like, hey guys, how do I buy a gift certificate? And it was just like this perfect moment of, they're like, well, I guess this does work. And I'm like, yep, you're welcome. And why would anybody ever want to turn that off? And even if they're like, yeah, I'm going to go to a different system, the problem is, again, you'd have to piece together systems, and they all price by list size. So the better you do as a marketer, the bigger you grow their database, the more they have to pay. Mm-hmm. But with Highlevel SaaS Mode, you pay Highlevel $497 a month and you resell it for whatever you want. And you don't have to charge them more if their list size gets bigger, right? That's completely up to you. So once you get them going, it's, they're not going to, it becomes a utility bill that they don't even think about paying every month.
Absolutely. And I think that's, what you just mentioned is really important, because A lot of businesses have never even thought about that because they have not been able to grow a list.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
something like MailChimp, when you get a decent amount of contacts in your database, you're paying hundreds of dollars per month. So that's, one of the platforms that I used many years ago. We grew one of our clients' list to like 40,000 people, and they were just getting robbed every month. And then, especially considering that it's not even based on how many emails you're sending. So you may be sitting there paying hundreds of dollars a month. And if you don't actually have somebody that's committed to email marketing, you're paying all of that for like one email potentially. So this does give you the ability to grow without worrying that you're in like some format actually being punished for your growth and the good decisions that you've made. So I think that, if you have a small list right now, it may not be something you've ever thought about, but your goal should be to have an insanely large email list. And if you do that, how much are you actually going to be paying for it? So again, just like the cost savings alone is absolutely incredible, whether it's just setting up a regular account or having someone on SaaS mode. And these are things that people should be thinking about or talking to their clients about, because they likely are also not thinking about that.
Yeah, 100%. So let's check out some other cool stats that came out of the report at the end of the year. This one I thought was really interesting. So upsell rate. So within Highlevel, there are other things that you can rebill. The most common right now are Yext and WordPress hosting. And so while these are really small numbers, you can see that there is a big difference between the accounts that are in SaaS mode and those that are not. Mm-hmm. And these are things that we're going to add more and more of to the platform, to the point where like your customers, the small business using Highlevel, could stumble across something like Yext where it's like, oh, wow, this looks really cool. I'd like it. And they say yes. And they basically turn it on and we just start sending you more money, right? Like they'll be able to self-sign up into things that will just start cutting you a check for every month. And so these upsell rates, these upsell opportunities are just getting started, but we can already see that people in SaaS mode are more likely to purchase them. The other thing that was interesting is when we talk about stickiness, daily usage, we found that SaaS mode has more active users, right? So the low frequency locations in SaaS mode was 29%, in non-SaaS, 38%. So when we talk about, making sure, hey, make sure that your customers are using the platform every day so that they're seeing the value, we see that correlate with SaaS mode as well. And so all of this kind of stuff, we're kind of just getting started with as well. Like, we're hiring like crazy to go revamp UX types of things and user experiences and, stamp out friction anywhere in the app. So all this kind of stuff is going to get better and better. So how does one get into this, right? How does one figure out how to get going with SaaS mode? We have a full course called the SaaS Fast Track course. And so if you sign up for a trial, you can sign up through Allie's link. If you sign up on the $497 plan, our pro plan, which is what you need to do SaaS mode, you'll see in the left-hand side of your agency menu, the SaaS Fast Track course. And this takes you through everything from starting with like, business mentality, branding type stuff, to how to technically get going, to how to prospect SaaS clients, right? Because this is a little different than selling the services that you guys are used to selling, how to onboard clients into SaaS mode. And there's a ton of like scripts, scripts to use when you're on the phone, when you're selling, collaterals and stuff like that. So that's all there inside the course that you'll get access to once you open up your trial. And again, you guys can hit Allie up for that. She's got a link.
That in the comments, absolutely.
And so that's the spiel on SaaS mode. So hopefully, when I give this talk, I'm usually half the audience is kind of cross-eyed, like, what did I just see? The other half is like, where do I sign up? If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Allie, if you've got any questions or anything else you want to talk about, let's hop into it.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I have is when you're building the plans, can you build multiple standard plans or multiple premium plans that have different snapshots attached? Or can you really only choose one per type of plan if you're going to be selling on SaaS mode?
You can, and it's kind of like the UI doesn't make this obvious, but you go configure a plan in the configurator, right? And that generates a plan ID in your Stripe account. And that plan ID is really all that matters, right? Because when you go build your pricing page and you put your sign up form on there, it asks you for the plan ID. Like you have to pick it from the list of everything we see in your Stripe account. But once that's created, you could go ahead and then reconfigure right in the configurator and hit save again. And that's going to generate another plan. So they all continue to live, and you could create as many as you want. You just have to be conscious of what the plan ID was.
Yeah. So if you update a snapshot that is connected to a SaaS plan, is that going to automatically update that account, or is there another step that has to take place?
No, and I'm 99% sure on this, but when you update a snapshot, like when an account is created using that plan, it always grabs the latest version of the attached snapshot.
Awesome. Yeah. And so if you guys are not familiar with snapshots, I've got several great videos on this on my YouTube channel. So we will definitely post links to those as well. But this has been probably my all-time favorite feature of any software that I have ever used in my life. And this has really allowed me to grow my business in a much more significant way, because in the past, let's take it back like 7 years ago, I was doing the 8-platform system configuration, trying to get everything to work, doing all the zaps, really time-consuming things.
And
it
maddening, right? A zap
yes.
stops working on a Friday, you don't catch it till Monday. Clients freaking out because hundreds of leads just got screwed up. Yeah,
absolutely.
It was tough.
Even more than that, it was very difficult to train anyone else to learn how to do it. And so in some ways, I felt really trapped for a long period of time, because even the people that I would train to be able to set this up and do it, they would still have no idea at times how to troubleshoot some of these things, or how to fix certain things, or how to maybe configure a unique request. And so I was really the only person for a while that could field some of those questions, or who could do some of those tasks. So no matter how much training I gave to my staff, I was not able to fully remove myself from some of those things. And the snapshot feature of these accounts has really allowed me to kind of replicate myself. I can do something from start to finish with a complete strategy in mind, all of the automations and the campaigns and the funnels and the different pages and the steps of the process and the pipeline. And I know that that now exists without me. I can set that up for a new client or for a new student, or share it with one of my students very easily, knowing that either we internally do not have to go through all of the stress of trying to set up. Sometimes the exact strategy may work for several different types of clients, but in the past, we had to manually set up every single part and piece, independently. And now we're able to save time. I also have so much more peace of mind, because the way that I've set up my snapshots really doesn't leave a ton of room for error. So I know that I don't have to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and worry that there's going to be some major or important piece missing that's going to prevent the client or the student from getting the best possible results. And I don't know that enough marketers have really realized how powerful that feature actually is. But even, my students, most of them are local businesses. We have a lot of agencies and marketers in the program as well. But before I had Highlevel, I was still having to share, Word docs of all my campaigns and my trigger times and screenshots of my zaps, or, the zap share links. But Zapier is not that straightforward for many, many people. They get really technically overwhelmed, and, share links to Clickfunnels and this, that, and the other, and they still weren't connected. It was not an out of the box solution. And so not only has it allowed me internally to really replicate myself and save time and reduce stress, it's allowed me to help more businesses than ever before, because I can simply share a link with them and they can get one of my entire account copies with the funnels, with the configurations, with the campaigns and the automations already set up and kind of structured in a way that there's pretty minimal editing required. And that now empowers a business who likely would have never been able to put that together themselves, sometimes even with coaching and mentorship and training, because on the technical side, it's just so overwhelming. And not to mention the ongoing management of that is also a nightmare for them. So this is really allowing me to help so many businesses in a much more significant way. So if you guys are not using that type of feature, if you're not really leveraging that, that's something you need to take advantage of. And if it's something where you feel like, I would love to get a completely built account copy because I'm not that technical person that can set this all up by myself, this is also the perfect solution for that local business or that small business that's not using this platform for other businesses besides their own. So, I mean, really just life-changing in a lot of ways for so many different types of people, the people that are using this internally as a piece of what they're selling, but also for that end user that is now empowered to do something that they really would not have had a great shot at doing beforehand. So again, if you guys have not checked out Highlevel yet, even though I talk about it very often, this could be a great opportunity to do that. Like Chase said, there's a 2-week free trial. I would say that the only downside of the trial for a lot of businesses is that, you know, if you don't go into this with a strategy in mind where you know what you want to do with the account and build inside the account, and you don't take that 2-week period to really immerse yourself in the platform, you know, it could become just another software that you signed up for a trial and you didn't actually give it the opportunity to work for your business. So if you guys do get signed up on the free trial, don't delay. Put it on your calendar. Say, I'm going to go through this system. I'm going to check this out. And there is, again, a great way to get signed up for that free trial and also get one of my snapshots installed to make it way easier to go through that process, and you don't have to start from scratch. So lots of different options. I think SaaS is really going to be a game changer. And I know that I mentioned this to you before we hopped on, but the store that I'm launching, hopefully very, very shortly, it's going to allow businesses to go ahead and figure out which of these account types is going to be the best one for them, not just the features, but really the strategy that's inside of that account, but also for marketers who don't want to be on an account that, you know, they can't fully control in terms of reselling if they want to, or adding additional clients on. We still have that capability for those snapshot links to be shared and to be purchased so that marketers can go ahead and take advantage of all these systems, but also that small business owner who they don't want to go through any extra steps if they don't have to. They can get everything set up much quicker, much easier without some of the technical implementation, like setting up Mailgun and, you know, doing some of those things that, you know, are just a bit challenging for certain types of business owners. So it's really going to be amazing. I can't wait to have the ability to offer both options for both types of businesses. And this is something that I fully plan on, you know, immersing myself in this year. So I'd encourage all of you guys to do the same if this has any type of application for your business. So Chase, is there anything else you want to share about maybe some stuff coming through the pipeline?
Yeah, I would love to. So we're talking about snapshots, and snapshots are, again, another whole webinar that we'd love to come back and do with you guys. But one update that's coming that I am super pumped on that ties into snapshots is, I'm sure you've heard we're rolling out social media posting and scheduling. And so where we're going with this, you know, I had a meeting with the product team the other day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. Imagine this. You are an agency that works with dentists or whatever, right? You've created a year's worth of social media content that, you know, works for any dentist, right? It's a mix of tips and how-tos and da-da-da-da. You're going to be able to now go, when you go into the media library area of Highlevel, when you upload something, it'll ask you like what file type it is. And you're going to be able to say, oh, this is a social media content type. So you're going to set a title, the post copy, and then the image or the video. And so then the social media poster will pull from that library and the whole thing will go into snapshots. So you'll be able to literally
Exciting.
gift a business a year's worth of content or 2 years worth of content or whatever, and be like, yep, it's all there in the library. Just go ahead and schedule it out, like, or pay us to schedule it out for you.
I'm
But
so excited.
the scalability of that is going to be absolutely insane. So we are super pumped to roll that out soon.
That's amazing. So we've used social media schedulers in the past that had, I'd call it similar features, but even still, you're looking at paying $100 a month for that one service alone. And it's also not something you can share with people. It's really only able to be used internally for that business. I right now have documents of all of what you're talking about, the images, the videos, the post content, and it's sitting there still requiring someone to go in and set it all up themselves. So there's just that additional time component. Social media management, if you are an agency, if you've ever offered social media management and actually creating content and posts for clients, you know that it is a challenge at times because people can be very particular about their content. Even if they've never posted regular content before, now they really want it a very specific way. So it can be extremely time consuming for the business that's actually offering that service. And it can be a little bit more difficult to prove an ROI of that. So what happens is you charge less for it, and it also consumes more time, and it's preventing you from doing other things that will grow your business, or maybe focusing on those pieces for the client that will actually generate a substantial amount of new clients, which is their ultimate goal, but they know they still need a service like this. I think this is going to be the best way to tie those two together. This is something that
nailed it.
They can get it, but you don't have to necessarily be the person who is doing everything, sending them the approvals. They can really kind of like manage it themselves much more simply than they would ever be able to do. So, I mean, this is like,
isn't social media posting funny in a way? Because it's like the ROI of it is really hard to prove. And, it's like, no, you want results, pay for ads. But every business is obsessed with social media posting. So it's like, as an agency, we stopped doing it, but it was annoying because all of our clients wanted it. And it was like, man, like, can we create a scalable solution? And we really struggle with that. But when we get to where we're going and what we just talked about, then it is this holy smoke scalable solution that, like you said, lives in a snapshot that's attached to your SaaS Mode plan. So when somebody buys it, it's just already there in their account. And you can have, again, multiple plans with different snapshots and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really, really, really exciting.
Yeah, I am just blown away by this. So Kenneth McKenzie asked, how does it compare to Clickfunnels 2.0? So I have not used 2.0. I do know about it. I think that, it's kind of something that Highlevel inspired at the end of the day, because, I have always used Clickfunnels for, a good number of years. I did win a 2 Comma Club award. I have nothing at all against Clickfunnels. Russell Brunson is somebody I look up to so much, and I've had good success with the options that they offered, but it was still just one piece of the much larger puzzle, and was not really offering these additional features that, again, every business truthfully needs these things. The way that you use them might be a little bit different, but because they did not have them, so many businesses did not use those other features, or maybe they couldn't afford all of the different things that really needed to go into something, which we would call a full stack solution. So haven't actually used the 2.0 yet. I do know that they, have started to add some of these different features. I can't tell you, how similar it is at the end of the day. But ultimately, I have fully integrated myself into Highlevel and love it so much that I'm not willing to switch to something else at this point, because I know that I'm getting what I need. And exactly like we just talked about, you're pushing the envelope in every direction. This is not just a funnel builder. It's not just a CRM. It's not just an email and text system. This is not going to be just a social media posting application. This is something that really does it all, integrates it all. The calendars being inside of it too. I know that seems like a small thing for a lot of people that might be
wise, it's insanely complex.
Oh, absolutely. And, I used to have to use different calendar services with my funnels, which there are issues at times with those calendars even showing up on the page or preventing somebody from actually being able to schedule. So you could be spending a lot of money on ads and nobody's even able to book on your calendar. Then the integrations of that third-party calendar software into the CRM with the campaigns, it was extremely glitchy. Like it was stressful. And this has everything that you need. So truthfully, like not just the feature side, but the capabilities for the marketers and agencies that are using this software as well, I think is something that really sets you guys apart. Again, the snapshot option, absolutely amazing. The addition of all these new features that are always coming out. You guys did WordPress hosting and WordPress, integration into the system and Shopify this past year.
Yeah, we're just getting started with Shopify.
I mean, it's really something that is able to bring all types of businesses and whatever they were using maybe as their primary website and really pull it into one easy to manage location that is only going to continue to grow in terms of its value because of all these updates and all of these features. And so I think, no matter what software you're using, there is going to be a certain level of complexity. There's going to be, the need for support and, going through all these different programs and not fully understanding what it is you're building or what it is that you're doing. But you guys have really given us the tools to be able to share these things with people who maybe in the past would not have been able to set them up themselves, even if they had the right tools in place, which again, I think makes it so much more accessible. So nothing at all against Clickfunnels. I will always hold them in my heart in a very special place. But I, ultimately at this very moment, we are transitioning all of my membership sites from Clickfunnels to Highlevel because that was another feature that was added on last year that we had always used Clickfunnels for. And in all honesty, a lot of things about the memberships side in Clickfunnels was not what I was looking for. There were features that I really wanted that weren't offered. Just setting up the membership in general was, a little bit more complex or time consuming than I thought it should be. And it's a very clean membership portal in Highlevel. The offer access side of it, one login URL. I mean, simplifying the issues with different login links and registration links and not having 3 different places to log in if somebody's bought multiple things from you. So, it is something that we still do use as well. I don't know how long that will take place because I still have a lot of stuff, that's through Clickfunnels, but I am, all in on Highlevel. It has really blown me away time and time again. And then PJ asked if I am including a free Facebook ads course. Well, that is definitely something I could consider. We're actually setting some of that up in those new memberships as we speak, literally next to me right now as we speak. So lots of great stuff shared today. I definitely am going to have you back to do some additional webinars with the group. I think that it's something everybody needs. They really do. And they just don't always understand what the system's capable of, if it's the best fit for their business, how to do some of these things. And that's, where you come in.
That's why we created this playbook, this series of webinars, because that was the number one feedback is like, Highlevel does so much. And like, I just signed up and I'm completely overwhelmed. And I don't know where to start. And we were like, okay, let's put together, we've worked with, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of agencies at this point. If you're doing lead generation, like there's a very clear path to success with Highlevel. And that's what this playbook and this series is. It's like, hey, go through it in this order and you'll come out on the other side succeeding for sure. And then at the end, it's kind of like, okay, and then turn yourself into a software company. And now you're banging on both cylinders and you'll be moving forward in what we're really confident is the future of the agency model, which is the hybrid software plus services.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with me today to educate everyone in this group, people that are going to be listening on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. Really, really appreciate it. If you guys have any additional questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. I will answer them. And I'll also leave some links for you guys as well. So if you want to get on that free trial, grab one of my free snapshots to go ahead and get a jumpstart on getting the account set up so you can really see, is this something I'm capable of using? Is this something that's going to work for me without having to build it all from scratch? Then that will be the best place for you to go to check it out. So thanks again. And I will let all of you guys know when I have Chase back so that we can do some of these other trainings that I know a lot of you are really going to benefit from. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.